It's that time of year again. The clock strikes midnight, January 1st.
And suddenly everyone has a list of resolutions.
Exactly. And what's always right near the top of that list, it's always, I'm going to learn a language.
Specifically English. Right. It's a huge one.
A huge one. And you stand there, you're motivated, you've got the new notebook, and you have this vision of yourself being fluent.
Right. You're picturing yourself in that meeting or, reading your favorite author without a translation.
And then what happens? Usually by February, maybe March, if you're lucky.
That vision is gone. And it's replaced by guilt and a very dusty, unused notebook.
Or that app you paid for that you haven't opened in weeks.
It's the annual ritual of self-sabotage, isn't it? That initial burst of energy.
Yeah.
It treats language learning like a sprint.
And it's not a sprint.
It is the definition of a marathon. And when that reality hits, you collapse. It feels like a personal failure.
Right. We've all been there. We've promised ourselves, 2 hours of really intense study every single day.
Which is completely unsustainable.
Completely. And then the guilt spiral starts. And it all leads to just abandoning the whole thing. But here's the good news.
There is good news.
There is. This deep dive is designed to stop that cycle. We are not talking about needing more willpower. We're talking about needing a much, much better map.
Exactly. Our sources show that this failure it's predictable. Yeah. And because it's predictable, it's completely solvable.
So it's not a character flaw.
Absolutely not. It's not about a lack of drive. It's about using flawed strategies, painful strategies. You shouldn't have to suffer to learn something.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Our mission today is to give you a complete actionable guide for your 2026 English resolution, one that actually works for your life.
Right.
We want to transform this from, fleeting wish into a sustainable, and I think this is the key word, enjoyable daily practice.
The core problem we're really digging into today is that strategic shift. It's about moving away from all those pain points.
The rigid rules, the self-punishment.
All of it. The things that make learning feel like a chore. We need to shift towards pleasure, flexible routines, and building a real identity as a learner.
So working with your brain, not against it.
Precisely. That shift in strategy, that is what determines success or failure.
So let's start with that uncomfortable truth. We need to look at the exact reasons why most of these resolutions just crumble.
We do. Because if you can see the pitfalls ahead of time, you can navigate around them. And the sources are really clear on this. There are about 5 main reasons.
And what's number 1?
The most damaging, by far, is unrealistic expectations.
Ah, okay. The I'll be fluent in 3 months promise.
Exactly. If you're a beginner, you have a full-time job, and you think you'll be having deep philosophical conversations by April, you're setting yourself up for immediate disappointment.
And that disappointment leads to quitting.
It always does. You have to get your head around the timeline. Learning English well is a multi-year commitment, not a summer project. The moment you accept that, the pressure just vanishes.
That makes a lot of sense. And I imagine that ties into the second failure point.
It does, which is a lack of clear, defined goals.
So vague goals like, I want to improve my English.
Or I want to become fluent. What do those even mean? There's no finish line. There's no way to know if you're making progress on a day-to-day basis.
It's like trying to drive across the country without a map or any road signs.
A perfect analogy. You just drive in circles until you get frustrated and pull over.
Okay, so we have unrealistic expectations and vague goals. What's next?
The overwhelming and rigid study plan. This is where that initial motivation turns into just misery.
The 4 hours a day plan.
The 4 hours a day, 7 days a week plan that no human with a job and a family can sustain. It immediately makes learning a source of stress.
Right, and then you miss one day.
And when you miss that one day, that leads directly to the next failure point.
Which is the lack of accountability, right? And that feeling of guilt. I know this one personally.
I think we all do.
You start in January, you're on fire, you do your 2 hours every day. Then one Tuesday, you have a late meeting, you're exhausted, and you skip it.
And instead of just starting again on Wednesday,
you think, well, that's it. The streak is broken. I've ruined the whole year. And you stop. You throw the whole thing away.
That is the pattern. It's a cognitive trap called all or nothing thinking. The pain of losing the perfect streak feels worse than the benefit of just continuing the practice.
So we need to redefine consistency.
Exactly. Consistency is showing up most of the time, not all of the time. The idea of a perfect, unbroken streak is actually the enemy of a long-term, sustainable habit.
Okay. And what's the final piece of this failure puzzle?
The most critical one for long-term survival. The absence of enjoyment.
It can't feel like a punishment.
It just can't. If your study plan is all rote memorization, dry grammar drills, and boring homework, you will not sustain it. Your brain needs dopamine. It needs to feel good.
So you have to connect it to something you already love.
If you don't, it will fail. That's a guarantee. Yeah. So, stepping back, the failure isn't about willpower. I really want to push back on that idea. A lot of people feel shame about past attempts.
But isn't willpower a part of it?
Yeah.
If I know I should do my 20 minutes and I just don't, isn't that a failure of will?
It's a great question, but the sources really compel us to see it differently. Think of willpower as a finite resource, like a battery that drains throughout the day.
Okay.
Strategy, on the other hand, is about designing a system where you don't need a lot of willpower. If you try to lift a 200-kilogram weight and fail, you don't blame your willpower.
You blame the fact that you're trying to lift 200 kilograms. The strategy is wrong.
The strategy is fundamentally flawed, so the adjustment isn't try harder, it's make it easier to succeed.
I like that. So we focus on building a practice that is, realistic, tiny, manageable chunks.
And rooted in genuine enjoyment. We shift from the punishment of a 2-hour commitment to the routine of a 20-minute practice. That small strategic shift changes everything.
So if vague goals are a recipe for failure, we need to talk about setting goals that actually work.
We do, and the Standard SMART framework is a good starting point, but we need to give it a specific language learning twist.
SMART, so that's specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound.
Exactly. This is what turns a fuzzy wish into a concrete roadmap your brain can actually follow.
Okay, let's start with specific. How do we go beyond, I want to improve my speaking?
You have to drill down into the function, the context. What do you actually want to do with the language?
So it's not about the skill itself, but the application of the skill.
Precisely. If your goal is professional, don't say speak better. A specific goal is, I want to participate in a 30-minute work meeting, understand the main points, and add 2 of my own ideas without a script.
Wow, okay. That is incredibly specific.
Or if it's social, maybe it's, I want to make 5 minutes of small talk with a stranger, like a barista, without feeling that overwhelming anxiety.
I see. That level of detail gives you a really clear target. It's not just a feeling anymore.
Exactly. Which brings us to measurable. You have to get away from relying on the feeling of improvement.
Because that feeling is unreliable, especially when you hit a plateau.
It's the first thing to abandon you. You need hard numbers to prove you're moving forward.
So give me some examples. What does a measurable English goal look like?
If you're focused on reading, it's, I will read 1 English novel per month.
Concrete.
For listening, it could be, by June, I will understand 80% of a news podcast without using the transcript.
Okay.
And for speaking, it's, I will have 3 documented 15-minute conversations with a native speaker each week. You're tracking the activity and the outcome, not your mood.
Now we get to what the sources called the biggest stumbling block. Achievable.
Yes. This is where you have to be brutally honest with yourself.
About your real life.
About your real life, your job, your family, your energy levels, your current language level. If you're a beginner with a stressful job, promising 4 hours a day isn't ambitious.
It's, what was the quote? Delusional self-sabotage.
That's the one. It guarantees failure. Your achievable goal should feel almost insultingly small.
Like what? 20 minutes?
20, 30 minutes a day, maybe broken into 2 tiny sessions. The goal is to make it so small that your brain can't find a good reason to say no. You're guaranteeing consistency that way.
That shifts the psychology of it. You're not trying to conquer a mountain every day. You're just taking a few steps.
Exactly. You're just showing up. You're building the habit. The intensity can come later once the habit is automatic.
Okay, that brings us to relevant. The why.
The why is what will carry you through when you get bored or frustrated. The goal has to connect to something deep inside you.
Like a promotion at work.
A promotion that could change your life, yes. Or finally being able to connect with your partner's family without a translator.
Or just enjoying your favorite movies without subtitles.
Yes. When the goal is that relevant, the practice doesn't feel forced. It feels meaningful. If your only reason is because I feel like I should, that motivation is too weak. It won't survive.
And the final piece, time-bound.
This is what makes the whole year feel manageable. You break it down, you give yourself milestones.
So not just one big deadline at the end of December.
No, the sources strongly suggest breaking the year into quarters.
Can you walk us through an example, say, for a beginner in 2026?
Sure. By the end of March, your goal is to complete a basic beginner course. You've mastered the present tense. That's it.
Okay, manageable.
By June, your goal is functional, transactional English. You can order food, ask for directions, handle a hotel check-in.
Real-world stuff.
By September, you tackle a reading milestone. You read your first full book in English, maybe a graded reader.
Building that stamina.
And by December, your goal is to have a comfortable 15-minute conversation with someone about your hobbies without it feeling like a total struggle.
That roadmap approach feels so much less intimidating. It turns one huge mountain into 4 small hills.
It does, and there's a great exercise the sources suggest to build this roadmap for yourself.
The reverse engineering exercise.
Yes. You don't start with January 1st. You start with the end in mind. Close your eyes and picture yourself at the end of December 2026. What are you doing with English? Write that down in detail.
And then you work backwards from there.
Exactly. To be that person in December, what do you need to have accomplished by September? To get to that September goal, what milestone do you need to hit in June? It forces you to create a logical sequence of steps and tells you exactly what you need to start doing right now.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. I love this next concept from the sources because it challenges the old idea of what studying looks like.
Right, the idea that learning only happens when you're sitting at a desk with a textbook.
Exactly. Instead, the goal is to build what the sources call an English learning ecosystem.
It's all about integration, not isolation. You're not trying to carve out huge chunks of new time from your already busy day.
You're transforming time that already exists.
Precisely. Your commute, when you're cooking, when you're scrolling on your phone. All of those can become learning opportunities. And this ecosystem has 3 crucial zones that have to work together.
Let's start with the first zone, which is the most familiar one, active learning.
This is your dedicated study time. It's intentional. You're focusing on a specific grammar point or drilling vocabulary or working on pronunciation.
But the key principle here is different. It's not about how long you do it.
No. The non-negotiable principle is consistency over duration. We have to hammer this home. 20 minutes every single day is scientifically better than a 3-hour marathon session on a Sunday.
Why is that?
Because your brain needs frequency to move information from short-term to long-term memory. If you only study once a week, the information never really has a chance to stick. It just evaporates.
So we need to make those 20 minutes as effective as possible. And the sources suggest a few neuroscience-backed techniques.
Yes, we have to leverage how memory actually works. The first one is spaced repetition.
This is why just cramming a list of words doesn't work.
It's the cramming illusion. You feel like you know them, but 3 days later, they're gone. Spaced repetition systems, like the app Anki, force you to review information at the exact moment you're about to forget it.
So it brings the word back right at the perfect time.
It forces your brain to strengthen that memory trace over and over at increasing intervals. It's incredibly efficient for long-term retention.
Okay, what's the second technique?
Active recall. This is about making your brain work for the answer.
So not just passively rereading a list of words.
No, that's too easy. Your brain barely engages. Active recall is when you cover up the answer and force yourself to retrieve it from memory. The struggle, the difficulty of that retrieval is what actually builds the strong neural pathway.
It feels harder, but it's much more effective.
Infinitely more effective.
And the third one is interleaving. This is about mixing things up.
Right. Instead of studying just one thing for 20 minutes, you mix different types of practice.
So not just 20 minutes of grammar.
No. Maybe you do 5 minutes of vocabulary flashcards, then 5 minutes of listening exercise, then a quick grammar drill, then try to write a sentence that uses all of it.
Why is that better?
Because real-world conversation isn't siloed. You have to switch between skills instantly. Interleaving trains that mental flexibility.
Okay, that covers the active, dedicated time. What's the second zone of the ecosystem?
This is passive exposure. This is where English becomes the background soundtrack of your life. And it requires no extra time.
This is where we transform those existing habits.
Exactly. The first thing you should do right now is change your phone's language to English.
That's a classic one.
It is, because it works. You'll have dozens of little micro encounters with the language every day. Watch the shows you already love, but switch the audio or subtitles to English.
Listen to podcasts during your commute.
But not podcasts about learning English, podcasts about your actual interests, true crime, history, technology, whatever. You're training your ear to the rhythm and intonation of the language subconsciously. It's high volume, low effort input.
And that brings us to the third zone, which is where the rubber meets the road. Practical application.
This is the output zone, using English for real communication. And we have to address the biggest mistake learners make here.
Which is
Waiting until they feel ready.
the fear of making mistakes.
It's paralyzing. But the sources are clear. That thinking is completely backward. You don't get ready and then use it. You get ready by using it. Speaking and writing are what reveal the gaps in your knowledge.
So what are some low-stakes ways to start, especially if you're terrified of talking to a real person?
Start internally. Talk to yourself in English while you're doing chores. Narrate your day. Okay, now I am washing the dishes. The water is warm. It sounds silly, but it works.
And then move to writing.
A daily journal. Even just simple sentences. Then go online. Write comments on Reddit or YouTube in English in communities built around your hobbies. The pressure is low, and every single mistake you make is not a failure. It's data. It's valuable feedback for your brain. You have to embrace being messy.
So we've established that the key to surviving 2026 is consistency, not this massive heroic intensity.
Absolutely.
And the way to get that consistency is through what the book Atomic Habits calls micro habits.
This is really the ultimate anti-resolution strategy. A resolution is big and scary. A micro habit is almost ridiculously small.
So instead of study for an hour,
Your goal is read one paragraph in English or say one sentence out loud. The resistance in your brain just disappears. It's too small to argue with.
and the magic is that starting is the hardest part.
Yeah.
Once you've read that one paragraph, you're more likely to just keep going.
The momentum is key. But there's an even deeper benefit to the micro habit. It's about building your identity.
What do you mean by that?
Every time you complete that tiny habit, no matter how small, you are casting a vote for a new identity. You're providing evidence to yourself that you are someone who practices English daily.
So it's not just about the vocabulary in that one paragraph. It's about reinforcing a self-image.
Yes. You slowly stop being someone who is trying to learn English, which implies it's a struggle and you might fail. You start becoming someone who learns English as a natural part of who you are. That psychological shift is everything.
And a practical way to do this is to chain these micro habits to routines you already have.
Exactly. You anchor the new habit to an old one. So while your coffee is brewing, you think your first few thoughts of the day in English.
Okay.
On your commute, you listen to 5 minutes of an English podcast before you put on your music.
During your lunch break.
Read one news article in English. In the evening, write 3 sentences about your day. Each one is tiny, but together they maintain the ecosystem and build that identity.
Okay, let's talk about a big problem in 2026. The sheer number of resources. Apps, courses, YouTube. It's overwhelming.
It causes analysis paralysis. You spend so much time looking for the perfect method that you never actually start learning.
So what's the truth here?
The best resource is the one you will actually use consistently. Pick one and stick with it.
But can we give people a kind of curated list, a blueprint of what works for different skills?
We can. For structured learning, if you need that A to Z path, commit to a full course series like English File. The key is to finish the whole level, not jump around.
For vocabulary, we've talked about spaced repetition.
Yes, so Anki is the gold standard. But the pro move is to stop using pre-made decks. You need to build your own decks by sentence mining.
Can you explain sentence mining again? What does a good flashcard look like?
So you're reading an article and you see a sentence with a new word. You don't just put the single word on the card. You put the entire sentence on the front.
Why the whole sentence?
Because you learn the word in context. You learn the grammar around it. You learn the words it naturally goes with the collocations. It's so much more powerful than learning words in isolation.
Makes sense. Okay, what about listening? Native speakers are so fast.
Beginners need to start with content made for learners. The BBC's 6-Minute English is perfect. It's slow, clear, and has transcripts.
And for intermediate learners,
You move to native content, but with a safety net. Narrative podcasts like This American Life are great if you can get the transcript to check your understanding. Advanced learners should just listen to whatever they're interested in.
now for the scary one, speaking.
The key is to lower the stakes. Language exchange apps like Tandem or HelloTalk are great because it's a two-way street. For more structure, tutoring platforms like italki are fantastic.
And you mentioned AI.
Yes, the AI conversation partners in 2026 are amazing. They are available 204/7. They will never judge you. It's a perfect, safe space to practice and make mistakes before you talk to a real person.
For reading, how do you build up that stamina?
You don't jump straight into a classic novel. You start with graded readers, which use simplified language. Then you move to young adult fiction and use a Kindle or an e-reader. The built-in dictionary is a game changer. It lets you look up words without breaking your reading flow.
And finally, a quick word on writing and grammar.
For writing, a daily journal is essential. Use a tool like Grammarly, not just to fix errors, but to find patterns in your mistakes. For grammar, the gold standard is still Raymond Murphy's English Grammar in Use. It's systematic, clear, and has great exercises.
And the final piece of advice on resources is to create a balanced diet.
Right. Your time should reflect your goals. If your goal is professional speaking, don't spend 80% of your time reading novels. You should probably spend 60% of your time on listening and speaking practice, 30% on vocabulary and phrases, and maybe only 10% on formal grammar. Be strategic with your time.
Okay, let's talk to the people who've been at this for a while. They're not beginners anymore. They've hit the dreaded intermediate plateau.
Ah, yes. The language graveyard. This is where so many learners get stuck and give up.
You can understand most things, you can express yourself, but your progress just slows to a crawl. It's so frustrating.
It's frustrating because the progress becomes invisible. When you're a beginner, progress is obvious. Wow, I can say, hello, I ordered coffee. But at the intermediate level, progress is subtle. It's about understanding nuance, using more natural phrasing, getting a joke. Those things are hard to measure, so it feels like you're not moving at all.
So the beginner tactics won't work anymore. You need a completely different strategy.
A radical shift. And the first one is this. Stop studying. Start using.
So get away from the textbooks.
You've learned enough grammar rules. Now you need massive real-world exposure. Use English to do things you already love. If you're into fitness, follow English-speaking fitness trainers on YouTube. If you like gaming, play in English. English needs to become the vehicle for your passions, not the subject itself.
And you have to fix the input-output imbalance.
Yes. Most intermediate learners understand way more than they can produce. They're great consumers. They need to become producers.
So forcing yourself to speak and write more.
Daily. Record yourself talking for 3 minutes every day. Write a detailed opinion on a news article. Production is what forges the strong connections in your brain.
Now here's a key idea from the sources that I think is the secret to sounding more natural.
This is maybe the most important tip for intermediate learners. You have to stop thinking in single words and start thinking in collocations.
Chunks of language that always go together.
Exactly. Native speakers don't think, I will make a decision. They think of make a decision as one unit. You don't have strong coffee, you have strong coffee.
So when you learn a new word, you should also learn the words that it hangs out with.
You have to. This is the fastest way to sound more natural and speak more fluently. Add these chunks to your Anki deck, not just the single words.
And what about the material we consume?
You have to embrace advanced content before you're ready. Get comfortable with being a little bit uncomfortable.
So watch that movie without subtitles, even if you don't catch every word.
Yes. Struggle through a difficult article. Your brain adapts incredibly quickly when you push it. If you always stay in your comfort zone, you'll never leave the plateau.
And at this stage, the mistakes you're making are different. They're more ingrained.
They're what we call fossilized errors. Mistakes you've been making for so long that you don't even hear them as mistakes anymore.
And you can't fix those on your own.
You can't, because you can't see your own blind spots. This is where you need to invest in feedback. Get a good tutor, even just for one session a month, whose only job is to find and help you eliminate those fossilized errors.
And finally, a tip for career-focused learners.
Specialize. Don't try to learn all of English at once. If you work in marketing, become an expert in the English of marketing. Read the blogs, listen to the podcasts. That deep knowledge in one area will give you a huge confidence boost that will then spread to other areas of the language.
Okay, now for the really motivated learners. Let's talk about some advanced acceleration techniques.
These require more effort, but the payoff is huge. The first is shadowing for pronunciation.
How does shadowing actually work?
You find a short audio clip with a transcript. You listen to it a few times. Then you play the audio again and you speak along with it at the same time, trying to match the rhythm, the intonation, the pronunciation perfectly.
So you're like the speaker's shadow.
Exactly. It's an intense workout for your mouth muscles and your ear. It trains the musicality of the language in a way that just repeating sentences can't.
We talked about sentence mining, but advanced learners can take it to another level.
Yes. They should be doing Anki sentence mining for nuance. You're no longer mining for basic vocabulary. You're looking for sentences with complex grammar, subtle idioms, or tricky phrasal verbs. You're building a deep contextual knowledge of the really difficult parts of the language.
And what about creating a full immersion environment at home?
That's the immersion simulation. You set aside a block of time, a whole Saturday or a weekend, where it is English only.
Everything.
Everything. Everything you read, watch, write, even your internal monologue has to be in English. It's tough, but it forces your brain to stop translating and start actually thinking in English.
And the final 2 hacks for really cementing that advanced knowledge.
First, deliberate practice of weak points. You have to identify your specific weaknesses, maybe it's conditional sentences, and attack them systematically. And second, the ultimate technique, teaching what you learn.
How does that help?
When you have to explain a concept to someone else, you are forced to understand it on a much, much deeper level. Start a blog, help a beginner. It's one of the most powerful learning tools there is.
We've got the strategy, we've got the tactics, but none of it matters without accountability. This is what separates a wish from a real goal.
It really is. Without accountability, life just gets in the way and the resolution fades. So we have to build systems that hold us to our goals.
What's the first and maybe simplest system?
The streak method. Get a calendar and put a big X on it every day you do your practice.
Right.
Or use an app. The visual of that unbroken chain of X's is incredibly motivating. You won't want to break the chain.
That fear of loss is a powerful driver.
Very powerful. And you can amplify that by adding social commitment.
Telling people what you're doing.
Yes. Post your goal online. Join a learning community. Find an accountability partner. We are wired to not want to fail in front of other people. Use that to your advantage.
Okay, now for a more intense version. The financial stake.
This uses the principle of loss aversion. We hate losing money more than we enjoy gaining it. So you can pay for a block of tutoring sessions up front. Or use a service like Stick, where you literally bet money on yourself.
And if you don't meet your goal, you lose the money.
And often it goes to a charity you don't support, which makes the pain of losing even greater. A less extreme version is to book a trip to an English-speaking country 6 months from now. That creates a very real deadline.
Now, even with all this, there will be moments of doubt when you feel like you're not getting anywhere.
That's where you need your progress portfolio. This is your objective evidence.
What goes in it?
Record yourself speaking for 2 minutes on the first of every month. Keep a journal of your writing. When you feel like you're stuck, go back and listen to your recording from January. You will be shocked at the progress. That concrete proof is the best antidote to doubt.
And we have to build in rewards along the way.
The reward system is crucial, but try to make the rewards related to the goal. When you finish a chapter in your textbook, buy yourself a novel in English. After you have your first real conversation, go see an English movie in the theater. It reinforces the positive behavior.
But what about those days, those weeks, when motivation just disappears?
It's going to happen. You need a plan for it. The first tool is your minimum viable practice.
The absolute bare minimum you can do.
Yes. Maybe it's just 5 minutes of flashcards or reading one headline. The goal is to keep the streak alive and maintain your identity as a learner, even on your worst days. Never miss 2 days in a row.
What if the problem isn't time, but just boredom?
Then you need a variety refresh. If you're tired of your textbook, just put it away for a week. Binge watch a comedy series in English instead. Listen to a new podcast. Drastically changing the activity can respark your interest.
And when you feel truly lost, you need to go back to your why.
The why revisit. You should have your deep, relevant motivations written down somewhere. Read them. Visualize yourself having achieved your goal. Reconnect with that emotional core. It's a powerful source of fuel.
And for the perfectionists out there, this last one is so important.
The compassionate reset. If you miss a day or a week, do not beat yourself up. The guilt spiral is what kills resolutions. Just acknowledge it, adjust your plan if you need to, and start again the very next day. It's only over when you stop trying.
We have to hammer this home one last time. It has to be enjoyable.
It is non-negotiable. Enjoyment releases dopamine, and dopamine helps you learn and remember. So you must align your learning with your interests. If you love cooking, watch English cooking shows. Let English be the medium for things you already love.
Make it social. Turn it into a game.
And work with your personality. If you're an introvert, focus on reading and writing. If you're an extrovert, prioritize conversation. Don't fight who you are.
Okay, to make this all super concrete, let's walk through a suggested month-by-month blueprint for 2026.
This is a flexible framework, but it provides that crucial structure.
So January, foundation month. What's the task?
Establish your 10-minute daily microhabit. Choose your one main resource and stick to it. And record your 2-minute baseline speaking sample.
February, consistency month.
The only goal is to protect the streak. Hit 28 days in a row of your minimum practice. Prove to yourself the habit is real.
March, speaking focus.
Time to face the fear. Have at least 5 low-stakes conversations and start shadowing every day.
April, listening immersion.
Your task is to consume an hour of English media every day and rewatch a favorite TV series but with no subtitles. Get comfortable with not understanding everything.
May, vocabulary expansion.
The focus is on collocations. Find and learn 50 new natural word chunks and get them into your Anki deck.
June, the reading challenge.
Read your first full book in English, a graded reader or a YA novel. Build that stamina.
July, assessment and adjustment.
Time for a check-in. Take a practice test to see where you are. Compare your July speaking recording to your January one and identify one fossilized error to work on. And celebrate your progress.
August, grammar deep dive.
Attack that one fossilized error you identified. Spend the month doing targeted exercises to eliminate it.
September, cultural immersion.
Go deeper than just the language. Pick an accent, British, American, Australian, and spend the month watching documentaries and listening to media from that region.
October, writing focus.
Level up your writing. Keep a daily journal where you express complex opinions and get feedback from a tutor or a correction platform.
November, synthesis month.
Time to put it all together. Try an English-only weekend, book a tutoring session, and ask the tutor not to simplify their language at all.
And finally, December, reflection and planning.
Record a final video of yourself in English, reflecting on your journey. Compare it to your January goals. And then start using the reverse engineering exercise to set your strategic goals for 2027. You know, the final truth about all of this, it's not just about English, it's really about who you become in the process.
Because it takes discipline, it takes resilience, it takes being okay with making mistakes. It takes patience.
And it proves to you in a very real way that all those small, consistent efforts, they compound into something incredible.
You're building the identity of someone who keeps their promises to themselves.
Exactly. Someone who chooses growth over comfort. The English is just the vehicle. The real destination is becoming that person who knows they can tackle difficult long-term goals.
And that person is inside you right now. You don't have to wait to be ready. You just have to take that first, small, imperfect step. Read one paragraph, say one sentence.
So we want to leave you with this final thought to consider. Once you prove to yourself that you can do this, that you can master a language, what other big, seemingly impossible goals in your life suddenly start to look achievable? That's the real power of what you're building here.